Hey, welcome to a new video. The Hadendoa are sometimes referred to as Lion Clan, or Children of the Lioness. They were a nomadic tribe of Africans of Hamitic origin, inhabiting the eastern part of Sudan. The Hadendoa were part of the Beha ethnic group, a larger nomadic community spread across the Red Sea hills and the eastern deserts of Sudan. They were known for their resilience and resistance to external forces, including various attempts at conquest and colonization. The Hadendoa became notorious in the 19th century during the Mahdist War, an uprising against Egyptian rule led by self-proclaimed Mahdi, Muhammad Ahmed. Many Hadendoa warriors joined the forces and played a significant role in the conflict, employing guerrilla tactics and fiercely resisting British and Egyptian troops.
Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we start, also like the video.
In an unusual incident, a tuk-tuk, commonly used for transportation in certain regions, was captured on video while moving without a driver. It all started with a man about to mount his bicycle. Then, however, the tuk-tuk starts rolling on its own from a slight incline. While this initial movement is understandable, what follows is quite baffling. The tuk-tuk makes a deliberate turn, as if guided by an invisible force, and continues its path along the street. You can actually see the bewilderment increasing in the man observing as the incident unfolds. Another man joins him, noting that the vehicle is completely empty, with no driver or passengers. Another camera angle from a different street also captured this moment. As the unmanned tuk-tuk continues down the road, two men chase after it in an attempt to bring it to a halt. Utsuro-bune refers to an unknown object that reportedly washed ashore in the province of Itachi on Japan's east coast in 1803. The term Utsuro-bune means hollow boat in Japanese. The legend of Utsuro-bune has intrigued historians, anthropologists, ethnologists, and UFO enthusiasts. Various interpretations and theories surround the legend, including the possibility of an alien contact. According to the legend, a fisherman finds a girl in a boat who claims to be a princess from India, and in gratitude shares the secret of the silkworm with him. Some researchers believe that the Utsuro-bune legend stems from Japanese folklore and myth, while others consider it to be one of the oldest accounts of human contact with extraterrestrial beings. As you know, Antarctica is a place full of secrets, and it's quite possible that many things are hidden beneath the ice that we know nothing about. A Google user known as Florida McKeese on YouTube claims to have made a shocking discovery: a mermaid-like sea creature frozen in the ice. According to this person, a satellite image shows an abnormal shape that he argues can't possibly be a natural geological formation. He had previously found other shapes in Antarctica that resemble sea creatures, and this finding fits that pattern in his opinion. He also believes that the rapidly melting ice has revealed this figure, and that it can't be explained by ice, rocks, or snow alone. This would further prove that it's not just a natural formation. The figure has a curved shape resembling a tail, fin, and extended flipper, with a distinctive feature around the neck that separates the head from the body. This discovery has sparked much curiosity and speculation, as who knows? In Albania, local residents are captivated by the possibility of a Loch Ness monster-like creature lurking among them. The Albanian Nessie is said to have been sighted in the Albanian part of the Great Prespa Lake, which is shared by Albania, Greece, and Macedonia. The footage shows a remarkably large creature emerging from the water, with what appears to be a head and neck visible. The creature is seen moving up and down before disappearing underwater again. While many local residents strongly believe in the tales of a lake monster, others claim it could simply be a colossal catfish. A geography expert who first crossed the lake in 1970 shared his perspective on this matter. He acknowledged that the Great Prespa Lake tends to produce unusual events, not commonly observed in other bodies of water. Recounting an experience from 1976, Janos recalled seeing a towering column of water near the Greek border, resembling a mushroom. It remained suspended in the air for 10 to 15 minutes before eventually descending. The Norwegian Greenlanders were a medieval Norwegian population that established settlements on the southwest coast of Greenland in late 10th and early 11th centuries. Led by Erik the Red, who was credited with founding the first Norwegian settlement in Greenland, these Norwegian settlers came from Iceland and Norway, seeking new agricultural lands and trade opportunities. Although they're not traditionally considered a tribe, these settlements disappeared under mysterious circumstances in the 15th century. They faced external threats, including pirate raids during the 15th century. German, Moorish, and English pirates attacked Iceland multiple times during this period, and there's evidence that the eastern settlement in Greenland underwent a pirate raid in 1418. The end of the Norwegian settlement in Greenland is not entirely clear, but there's indicators of gradual decline. For example, grave sites in the eastern settlement show a decrease in the number of women in childbearing buried in the 15th century. This suggests that many women may have died during childbirth or emigrated to Iceland or Norway, leading to a population decrease. Seeing these large bones found really makes you wonder if giants are a concoction of our collective imagination, or if they truly existed in the past. Giants, as depicted in folklore and mythology, are often portrayed as enormous, monstrous beings that evoke a sense of terror. They appear in various cultural traditions. In Norse mythology, giants, known as Jotnar, are often depicted as opposed to the gods. Some are described as roughly human-sized, while others are depicted as enormous, such as ice giants, fire giants, and mountain giants. In the Old Testament of the Bible, for example, there are accounts of giants known as Nephilim, described as beings with extraordinary strength and physical proportions. Giants also appear in English fairy tales, where they are often portrayed as dim-witted and violent monsters, sometimes with a preference for consuming humans or livestock. Imagine this, you're out for a walk in the countryside on a nice day, and suddenly you hear the sound of someone, or something, working out. There, just over the hill, you see an exceptionally tall, pale humanoid figure doing push-ups. As strange as it sounds, this figure fits the description of the urban myth Slender Man. Slender Man's often described as tall and thin, with unnaturally long arms that can stretch out and appear as tentacles. The figure in the video looks very similar, but why it's doing what it's doing remains a mystery. Witnesses often describe Slender Man wearing a black suit, although this detail was added more recently to the mythology. His face is usually described as featureless or blank, without any visible features. In sightings, witnesses mention extra limbs or arms, ranging from snake-like to rope-like appearances. Slender Man gained a lot of attention and notoriety in 2014, but this video seems more recent, though not much information is available. There's also been multiple documentaries made about Slender Man, including Beware the Slender Man from 2016. This next moment was captured by a security camera, and it begins with a human-like figure that seems to suddenly appear out of nowhere, immediately drawing attention. The person walks purposely toward a building entrance, and everything appears to be normal. Then something strange happens. The man suddenly freezes in mid-movement, and it quickly becomes clear that this isn't a camera glitch, but something much stranger. The figure is completely still, as if time itself is frozen. The tension builds until he suddenly moves again, as if nothing happened, and he continues to walk. This unexpected freezing raises many questions. What could have caused this? Is this the case of a temporary disruption in time, or perhaps a glimpse into a parallel reality? The Canarsee were a group of Munsee-speaking Lenape people who inhabited the westernmost end of Long Island, now Brooklyn, New York. This was when the Dutch were colonizing New Amsterdam in the 1620s and 1630s. The Canarsee are credited with selling the island of Manhattan to the Dutch, although they only occupied the lower portions, with the rest serving as seasonal hunting grounds. In 1636, Dutch colonists bought land from these people, confirming colonial ownership of the land through deeds issued by the governor of New Amsterdam. Despite contractual provisions intended to ensure their protection, many Canarsee Indians were forced into Dutch servitude alongside African slaves, leading to the intermingling between the two groups. By the end of the 17th century, the Canarsee had nearly disappeared from the area, although only one member of the tribe, Joel Skidmore, remained, living nearby until his death in 1907. Grave robbers are individuals who engage in illegal excavations of graves or tombs with the intention of stealing valuable items buried with the deceased. The practice of grave robbing has a long history and has been documented in various cultures and periods. In classical antiquity, the Romans experienced theft and destruction of tombs, crypts, and graves. Grave robbery is illegal because it involves desecration of graves, which is considered a serious violation of social norms and religious practices. It often involves theft of personal belongings or human remains, which is not only disrespectful to the deceased and their family, but also infringes on property rights. Some, however, engage in grave robbing for the sake of desecration itself, and they enjoy showcasing their efforts. In this video, you see someone demonstrating how to rob graves and exactly what to look for, which makes it quite macabre. Those caught committing grave robbery can face criminal prosecution, including fines and imprisonment. Whether the person in this video was ever caught is unclear, and the story surrounding the identity of the boy remains a mystery. In this video, a young boy is sitting next to what appears to be a normal toy turtle. And at first, nothing unusual happens. But suddenly, the boy looks up in surprise, as if noticing something unexpected. The turtle's arms begin to move on its own, without any visible external force. The boy's startled, only to see the toy move even more. This strange event has sparked speculation that the toy might be possessed, or influenced by an alien force. The idea of possessed toys has always fascinated and frightened people in popular culture. Stories and films often depict dolls and other toys as vessels for spirits or malevolent forces. Could there be a mischievous ghost, residual energy, or perhaps an otherworldly presence inhabiting this toy? On the other hand, some claim it could be due to electromagnetic interference or mechanical defect. Although the toy seems to have no visible mechanism, this only makes the event even more mysterious and unexplained. A home security camera in Alberta captured something spectacular, with many people speculating that the footage shows a meteor entering the atmosphere and burning up. This type of phenomenon is often called a fireball, and it's not uncommon. Similar events have also been observed in other Canadian cities. While most people believe that it's a meteor, there are alternative theories. One intriguing idea is that the bright object might be an alien spacecraft descending to Earth. Alberta, with vast farmlands, can provide a discreet landing spot for such an encounter. What would you think if you saw this coming towards you? Would you immediately think of a meteor or perhaps a UFO? Let me know in the comments.
In Victorian society, one name struck fear into the hearts of many: Spring-Heeled Jack. Often compared to the Batman of the 19th century, he terrorized the streets for weeks. Initially dismissed as just tales, the existence of this devilish character gained official recognition in January 1838. The first documented incident occurred when Polly Adams, a barmaid, was brutally attacked while crossing Blackheath in South London. This incident was followed by reports from terrified witnesses, including Mary Stevens, a maid who encountered a nightmarish creature on Barnes Common, and another woman who fell victim to an attack. The list of victims grew, while Jane Alsop narrowly escaped from a strange figure in her home. Jane provided a terrifying description of her inhuman attacker, describing a figure clad in a tight white suit resembling oilskin with a peculiar helmet. She claimed that the creature spewed blue and white flames. The mayor, Sir John Cohen, was inundated with complaints citing a demonic being with fiery red eyes and icy claws. Spring-Heeled Jack leaped from rooftop to rooftop and evaded an incident in the 1870 where angry townsfolk in Lincoln attempted to shoot him. He laughed, jumped over fences and small buildings, and then escaped. The iconic image of extraterrestrial beings as little green men with enlarged heads and oversized eyes originated from this next story. In southwestern Kentucky on August 21, 1955, something happened at the Suttons, a large farming family in Hopkinsville. The incident began when Billy Ray Taylor, a friend of the Sutton family, went to fetch water from the backyard. It was then when he saw a shiny object in the sky. Without warning, the object silently descended to the house and suddenly fell to the ground. An hour later, prompted by the persistent barking of their dog, Lucky, Billy Ray and Lucky approached the back door. There, amidst an eerie glow, stood a small humanoid creature about a meter tall, with a large round head, arms almost touching to the ground, and claw-like hands, as well as eyes emitting a yellowish light. The men grabbed their guns and shot at the creatures as it approached them, with its hands up as if it was surrendering. Then the creature quickly somersaulted and retreated into the darkness. Shortly after, the men saw a similar creature appear in a side window. Startled, they called the police, who upon arrival found nothing out of the ordinary. One of the witnesses reported seeing one of the creatures repeatedly glowing at her bedroom window, with its claw-like hand pressed against the screen. The police were called again, but no one could ever explain who or what these people had seen at the time, making the story very eerie.
The Tasmanians were the original inhabitants of Tasmania, an island south of the mainland of Australia. Thousands of years before the arrival of European colonists, they had a rich and unique culture, unlike anything you'd ever seen. The Tasmanian Aboriginal population experienced a severe decline following European colonization and the subsequent conflict of the Black War. Prior to British colonization in 1803, the population was estimated between 3,000 and 10,000. Within 3 decades, their numbers plummeted drastically, and by 1835, there were only about 400 full-blooded Tasmanian Aboriginals left, most of whom were confined to camps. The Black War, fought from the mid-1820s to 1832, was a period of violent conflict between British settlers and Aboriginal Tasmanians. Fought as a guerrilla war, the conflict resulted in losses in both sides. It's estimated that during this period, between 600 and 900 Aboriginals and over 200 British settlers perished. The near destruction of the Tasmanian Aboriginal population has sparked debate among historians as to whether it should be defined as an act of genocide. The glass delusion is a psychological phenomenon that manifested in medieval and early modern Europe. It's characterized by individuals strongly believing that their bodies are made of glass, and therefore susceptible to shattering. This delusion often led to extreme precautions by affected individuals to avoid potential harm. The glass delusion was most commonly observed among nobles and individuals of higher social status. Historical records mention several notable causes of the glass delusion. For example, King Charles of France suffered from this delusion and took measures to protect himself from it. He would remain motionless for hours, wrapped in thick blankets, and even wore a special suit with iron ribs to protect his glass organs. The prevalence of the glass delusion decreased after the late 17th century. However, isolated cases have been reported in the late 19th century.
In September 2009, 4 teenagers claimed they encountered a mysterious creature while playing near a stream in Panama City. According to their story, the creature approached them, prompting the teens to throw rocks at it. The photos show a white, hairless creature with clawed feet, which resembled a three-toed sloth, a mammal common in Panama, but not quite. The creature appeared mutated, and the incident drew widespread attention, leading to the speculation about its identity. Some called it an alien beast due to its unusual appearance. However, zoologists were never able to definitively identify the creature. While its lack of fur and certain features resemble a sloth, DNA testing would be needed to confirm its true identity. But no conclusive results were ever published. Some believe this was no sloth, but rather an extraterrestrial being.
2 police officers, both at least 6 feet tall, tried to arrest a gigantic figure that was about 9 feet tall at a gas station in Las Vegas, Nevada. The size difference is astounding, and the giant seems to overpower the officers with ease. Despite their efforts, they can barely get the figure to move, and even when they desperately grab at his legs to slow his movement, it has little effect. This situation escalates when the giant tries to get on a motorcycle. Eventually, he manages to get on the bike and ride away, despite their attempts to stop him, leaving the officers helpless. The bizarre incident is reminiscent of the claims of Charles James Hall, who alleges that an alien race, the Tall Whites, resides near the Nellis Air Force Base, outside of Las Vegas. In his book, Walking with the Tall Whites, describing them all as slender figures with notably pale skin and advanced technological knowledge.
The Karankawa were a group of Native American tribes who lived along the Gulf of New Mexico. The Karankawa were a group of Native American tribes who lived along the Gulf of Mexico in what is now Texas. They inhabited the area from Galveston Bay to Corpus Christi Bay, and as far inland as present-day Eagle Lake in the Colorado County. The Karankawa population was estimated to be about 400 men in 1685. However, by the 1820s, their population had declined due to diseases, conflicts with other Indian groups, and environmental changes. Attacks from other tribes drove the Karankawa away from the coast and deeper south into the Rio Grande Valley. In 1858, a Tejano force carried out a massacre among what is now to believe the last of the Karankawa. However, many had already moved south to Mexico, joining other tribes, or were forcibly assimilated into white society. They were known for their excellent archery skills, and their bows were made from red cedar wood. After contact with Europeans and obtaining metal, their bows became even deadlier. In the next video, a man is being chased through the library until they reach the center of the library. Then there's a moment of pause, but then in the blink of an eye, a second man suddenly disappears to the right. He doesn't walk away, but it's as if he's removed from the frame right before our eyes. The reaction of the people around him, especially the man who's filmed all this time, are noticeable. You can see his clear amazement, but also pay attention to the interesting reactions of the people around him. And who noticed the man and who didn't. What do you think happened to the man, and why were they chasing him in the first place? Could he be a time traveler with advanced tech? Have you ever wished as a kid that you could fly or float, only to have that dream dismissed as impossible? This man, however, didn't give up. In a mysterious video, we see him first lying in the middle of the garden, and then slowly but surely starting to float. Naturally, you'd assume he's being held up by ropes or cables, right? After all, that's how they do it in the movies. But the man picks up a jump rope and makes a few jumps, all without issue, just to show that he's really floating. In Tibetan Buddhism, there are stories of yogis and mystics said to possess supernatural powers that include levitation. In the video, the man demonstrates that he's not only floating in one spot, but can also move around. Milarepa, an 11th century yogi and poet, is often cited as a famous flyer in Tibetan Buddhist tradition. Do you think the man in this video has unlocked something within his mind and body that allows him to float? Or is it just a clever trick?
A peculiar phenomenon was observed in the waters of Indonesia, as if an underwater volcano was erupting just below the surface. At least that's what some scientists suggest. Others say that electromagnetic frequencies might be affecting the water, possibly coming from a machine being tested or even a nearby UFO. However, scientists believe that there's a more natural explanation. One of the possible explanations is the phenomenon known as puraranka. This occurs when two different types of water meet, such as river water mixing with seawater. A famous example of this can be seen in the Amazon, where the dark waters of the Rio Negro clash with the sandy colored waters of Rio Solimões. The result is a spectacular display of swirling currents and contrasting colors, which can remain visible for miles before the waters eventually merge. Do you believe this explanation, or could it be something else?
The Chachapoyas were an ancient Andean tribe that lived in the cloud forests of the Amazon region in present-day Peru.
They were described as the people with fair skin and blonde hair, intriguing historians, because there's no known European ancestry in the area where they lived. The civilization of this tribe dates back to approximately 600 years before the Inca Empire, and at their peak, their population numbered at about 500,000, with settlements spread across the cloud-covered mountains. They were eventually conquered by the Inca Empire in the late 15th century. The Incas encountered fierce resistance from this tribe, who were known for their warlike nature. Their culture stood out for its distinctive sarcophagi-shaped like bodies in the monumental fortress of Colep, often referred to as the Machu Picchu of the North. However, it's believed that they were eventually assimilated into the Inca Empire, and their own culture began to fade. Raymond Tunstall, known as Pipes, takes center stage as the main character in the 1992 BBC documentary Ghostwatch. The story revolves around a live TV broadcast from a haunted house, where Pipes, a malevolent spirit, terrorizes a single mother and her 2 daughters. His nicknames come from the habit of banging on the pipes within the house. According to a parapsychologist, Pipes is believed to be a manifestation of accumulated negative spiritual energy spanning centuries. He's described as an old man with deep scratches, with one eye completely consumed by his cats in the 7 days it took for his body to be discovered. Throughout the story, Pipes exhibits typical poltergeist behavior, including knocking on walls, throwing objects, creating spots, and appearing in reflections, and even inflicting strange scratches on individuals. The eldest daughter of the family becomes Pipes' primary target for his sadistic scratches. Additionally, Pipes emits cat wails when engaging in particularly malevolent acts. During the broadcast, he gains the ability to possess people, as well as generate spontaneous gusts of wind, shatter lights, and manipulate objects from greater distances. The broadcast, which naturally had a seance-like atmosphere, led viewers to call the studio hotline at night to report poltergeist activity in their own homes. At the end of the broadcast, the chilling suggestion is made that the viewers may have unwittingly invited the spirit Pipes into their own lives by watching. Judge for yourself. What could this creature be that multiple people spotted in Argentina? The creature has become such an urban legend that the people have started investigating what it might be. What we know is that the creature was first seen in 2012 in a remote area of Argentina. A man walking in a rural area near a windmill was terrified by what he saw. Why was he so frightened? Because the creature didn't give him a chance to escape. It attacked him immediately, and to defend himself, the man struck it on the head. His brother made the incident public, and he found the creature's body, revealing it to the public. One expert proposed that the creature could be a long-necked mammal called an Anglo-Nubian goat, which sounds plausible, as goats are known to attack people occasionally. But the identity of the creature also raises the possibility that it could be a vicuna, one of the 2 wild South American camelids living in the high Andes. If neither of these is true, then we're dealing with a mysterious and terrifying creature that you wouldn't want to encounter. A mysterious moment was captured by a security camera in an office building in Brussels, Belgium, that involved a revolving door. These revolving doors are often made of thick, sturdy glass panels that rotate around a central axis. In the footage, everything initially seems normal, but suddenly one of the glass panels shatters without warning into thousands of pieces. The glass spreads across the floor, but fortunately no one was injured. Everyone in the office was left stunned as the glass shattered, while the door frame remained intact, without any visible cause for this strange incident. The employees were understandably confused. After all, it's not something you see every day. The building management and local authorities investigated the incident but couldn't find any clear cause, leaving it a fascinating mystery as to how the revolving door could have shattered. In modern depictions, kobolds are often portrayed as green in color, although this is more of a recent tradition. Kobolds are often depicted as fairies, ranging from dwarf height to human height. In folklore, kobolds are believed to dwell in caves, but they're also associated with households. They are supposed to engage in mischievous activities, such as banging on pots and pans, moving furniture at night, and even playing tricks on people. This video captures what appears to be a kobold child in real life. However, the sighting takes place at a busy bus station, adding to the mystery of the incident. In the video, a woman passes through security with what appears to be a normal child she's carrying. Initially, there seems to be nothing out of the ordinary, as it's not uncommon to see children in such places. But as the child turns its face toward the camera, you can see that it resembles more the face of a small humanoid with a disturbing gray color and dark green tint. Was this really a child, albeit with a severe illness? Some rare syndromes can cause growth disorders, but it remains unclear if this was the case. Or was it actually a real kobold? What do you think? The Beotuks were an indigenous peoples who traditionally inhabited the island of Newfoundland in Canada. They had their own language, Beotukan. When John Cabot discovered them in 1497, their population was estimated at about 500 individuals. The Beotuks were exposed to European diseases such as tuberculosis, to which they had no immunity. As European settlements increased, the
The Beotux were denied access to vital resources, particularly those from the sea. They also faced competition from European fur traders, who ventured into the interior of Newfoundland. The Beotux also came into conflict with other indigenous groups, such as Mi'kmaq hunters from Nova Scotia. These conflicts further weakened the Beotuk population. By the early 19th century, the Beotux had been reduced to a small refugee population, living along the Exploits River system, struggling to survive with limited resources. The last known individuals of this tribe died in the early 19th century. In 2010, an officer pulled over a silver car, and as he approached the car's window, he was suddenly and violently pulled aside. Pulled inside. What follows is a violent struggle. The officer's partner steps out of the car and comes face to face with the trunk of the first car, after which something jumps at him, causing him to fall to the ground. But what could be small enough to fit in the trunk of a car? At one point, the attacker reveals its identity, along with its friends, and it turns out to be a hobbit or a gnome. If it's indeed a hobbit, it fits the description, as they resemble humans but with distinct characteristics. However, it could also be a gnome. According to folklore, forest gnomes are rarely encountered by humans and have a closer bond with nature. Garden gnomes are associated with old gardens and are known for their melancholic tales. Siberian gnomes, on the other hand, are larger and have a more aggressive nature, freely associating with trolls. What do you think the officer encountered? And what might have happened afterward? Let me know in the comments. On October 13, 2020, reports of a bizarre phenomenon began to emerge from deep in the Alps of Bosnia. One person decided to film it from a distance. They saw some kind of structure surrounded by giant beings, seemingly wearing robes with their arms raised, as if they were chanting or praying while the structure glowed. According to the filmer, these enormous beings also had wings and could possibly fly. They estimated that the creatures were at least 11 feet tall. At a critical moment, one of the beings noticed they were being filmed. Their movements changed, and the person recording quickly fled. Unfortunately, we never get a clear look at the beings' faces, as the rain and light made visibility difficult. Were we witnessing an ancient ritual, or perhaps were there angels descending on the earth? And if so, for what reason? During a leisurely stroll along Sunny Isles Beach in Miami, Florida, a person named Jax noticed something strange on the horizon, a distant city silhouette. The problem? There is no city near Sunny Isles. In the video, you can see a yacht, a sailboat, and a cargo ship in a mysterious city that shouldn't be there. Many people think Jax might have captured a Fata Morgana, a complex type of optical illusion that appears just above the horizon. Others speculate that this mysterious appearance might be related to a legendary ghost city, Baringan. According to Filipino folklore, Baringan is a mythical city in the Philippines and inhabited by supernatural beings. These beings can take on human forms, but they lack a groove between their nose and upper lip. Baringan's also often associated with mysterious sightings and even demonic possession. It's said that a Japanese company discovered gold and uranium in the area, but due to unexplained accidents and disasters, they eventually had to abandon their project. What do you think Jax captured on camera here? Is this a natural phenomenon, an optical illusion, or something more mysterious? The Calusa were known as fierce and warlike, noted by the European explorers and smaller tribes alike. They were a Native American tribe, inhabiting the southwest coast of Florida. Their society evolved from the archaic peoples of the Everglades region, with earlier indigenous cultures having lived in the area for thousands of years. The Calusa relied mostly on the sea for their sustenance. They were skilled fishermen and hunters, with their main food source being fishing and hunting. The Calusa were renowned for their dominance and influence over various other tribes in the area, including tribes on the east coast of Florida, despite being situated on the southwest side of the state. They had a complex social and political organization, a triad of governing spirits, and conducted extensive rituals, including processions of masked priests and synchronized singing by hundreds of young women. Unfortunately, their population declined significantly due to disease brought by European explorers, warfare, and even slavery. By the 18th century, they ceased to exist as a distinct culture. The Calusa were one of the last Native American societies in Florida to succumb to the effects of the European invasion. In an intriguing Facebook video, an ancient artifact defies all rational explanations of laws and physics. The object, an elongated reddish-brown stone with pointed ends, bears engraved symbols on its surface, arousing curiosity about its origin and purpose. Although the person behind the camera doesn't reveal how they obtained the artifact, the object has sparked much speculation. The video begins with a scene where both the stone and the person's hand vanish from reflection. Leaving only the skeleton of the hand visible. Some viewers have suggested the possibility of a curse associated with the stone, attributing its
attributing its peculiar properties to supernatural forces. When brought close to a clock, its presence mysteriously stops the movement of the clock hands. Similarly, the proximity of the stone causes a light bulb to flicker. The most bizarre revelation unfolds when the stone is placed in a cup of water, causing the water to inexplicably boil. Several theories have emerged in attempts to decipher the mystery surrounding the artifact. Others entertain the notion that the stone may be of extraterrestrial origin, speculating that it interacts with the Earth's tech in strange and unpredictable ways. At one point, Homo sapiens were not the only human species on Earth, and no, we're not talking about Neanderthals. The Moon-Eyed people are a legendary race said to have lived in the southern Appalachians in the United States before the Cherokee arrived. According to Cherokee legend, the Moon-Eyed people looked physically different from the Cherokee, with pale, perfectly white skin and beards. They were called moon-eyed because they were unable to see in daylight. Their sensitive eyes were blinded by the sun. The legend of the Moon-Eyed people has been mentioned in various accounts since the late 18th century. Early American naturalist Benjamin Smith Barton wrote about the legend after hearing it from Leonard Marbury. John Sevier, a prominent figure in early American history, also referenced an ancient white race in his letters. According to legend, the Moon-Eyed people began living underground after losing a war. In Cherokee cosmology, humans share the world with other supernatural beings, and the Moon-Eyed people were considered part of this natural world. The next footage comes from the dense jungle of Vietnam, where rumors still circulate about bizarre, unexplainable creatures. One of those stories involves a chilling specimen, a mummified humanoid creature that may have died decades ago. It appears to be a frightening cross between a human and a snake, with long tangled blonde hair hanging down from its head. Unfortunately, not much is known about the video, but whoever found this creature must have been terrified. The being has a hairy upper body, rodent-like arms, and a face with a bizarre mix of human and ape-like features, including a primate nose, gray eyes, and a disturbing grin. What could this creature be? Is it an unknown species? And could there be more of these beings in the jungle? Perhaps the most striking feature is the transition to the lower part of its body, covered with scales like those of a snake, which completes this mysterious hybrid creature. The Vacae, also known as the Ancient Butchers, were a pre-Roman Celtic people who inhabited the sediment plains of the central Duero Valley in Castile and Leon, Spain. The Vacae were likely of Celtic origin and were celebrated fighters, with their name possibly derived from the Celtic word vacos, meaning butcher. They were known for their skills in battle, martial arts, and ferocity in resisting Roman conquest. A notable uprising occurred around 153 to 151 BC, led by a Vacae chieftain named Caris. The Vacae, renowned for their skilled cavalry, launched guerrilla attacks against Roman troops, utilizing their knowledge of the local terrain to their advantage. They employed hit-and-run tactics and ambushed Roman supply lines and outposts, making it difficult for the Roman army to maintain control over the region. The resistance of the Vacae was not only military, but also involved the diplomatic efforts to mobilize other indigenous tribes against Roman rule. Despite their brave efforts, the Vacae were eventually subdued by the Romans. The 1561 Nuremberg incident refers to a mass sighting of unidentified flying objects that occurred above Nuremberg, Germany. According to historical accounts, the residents of Nuremberg witnessed a spectacle in the sky at dawn on April 14, 1561. They reported seeing hundreds of strange objects, including spheres, cylinders, rods, and other unidentified shapes, seemingly engaged in what appeared to be an aerial battle against the backdrop of a rising sun. The event gained more attention when a news article was published in April 1561, featuring a description of the mass sighting and a woodcut engraving of Hans Glaser. Now archived in Switzerland, it provides a visual representation of the celestial phenomenon observed by the people of Nuremberg. The interpretation of this event has sparked debate. Some modern UFO enthusiasts believe this sighting is evidence of an extraterrestrial aerial battle. However, skeptics offer alternative explanations, such as the possibility of the phenomenon being a sundog or another natural atmospheric event. Do you believe that dragons exist or once existed? For a split second, the crowd thought they had seen one. On the opening day of the 2019 KBO season, SK Telecom invited a mythical dragon-like creature to SK Happy Dream Park, the home stadium of the SK Wyverns. This entire spectacle with the dragon was broadcast live. At first, the dragon flew by so quickly that the viewers could barely register what they were seeing. It then made a loop around the stadium, much like the dragons from Game of Thrones. The dragon flew and landed on a giant screen, but it turned out to be too heavy, causing the screen to crack and break. The dragon then hovered above the audience, roaring menacingly before descending onto the field. It roared again, seemingly gathering energy. Before the video ends, the dragon makes one final round through the stadium, glowing and roaring before the screen fades to black. In 2015, Eisenhower State Park in Texas faced unprecedented heavy rainfall, which completely transformed the landscape. On a foggy morning, a few park rangers set out to inspect the back roads and ensure the paths would remain safe for visitors. During their journey, they encountered large, strangely shaped mounds on the road that resembled ground meat, a grotesque and confusing sight that the rangers cautiously approached. But upon closer inspection, they discovered something even stranger. The mounds of meat were actually living masses of earthworms. The rangers wondered who would have caused this strange phenomenon. The answers likely lie in the recent heavy rains. The saturated and waterlogged ground had probably forced the worms out of their underground shelters, causing them to seek higher ground. This behavior, while unusual in this form, is part of the natural routine of earthworms. Normally, they play a crucial role in aerating the soil and recycling nutrients, but extreme weather conditions can completely disrupt their behavior.
In 2012, a debate was sparked by the circulation of a photo depicting a primate caught in a trap by a villager in the Purin district of India. Forest officials have since claimed that the primate belongs to an endangered species, known as the hulag gibbon, typically found in the northeastern regions of India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. Unfortunately, the hulag gibbon is on the brink of extinction. To verify the accuracy of these claims, a team ventured into the area in the district. However, their attempts to confirm the truth amidst rumors, tribal myths, and speculations proved futile. It was discovered that the primate had already been sold to another person. The photo of the captured primate displayed a remarkable appearance, reminiscent of an extraterrestrial being, bearing a striking resemblance to a human child. Villagers associated it with tribal myths, which revolve around a being believed to have the power to fulfill wishes. The found footage of Penhurst is a chilling series of video recordings that emerged in 2013. The footage is divided into two parts, with the original film believed to date back to 2008. Penhurst Hospital, an asylum founded in 1908, has a dark history, and eventually led to closure in 1987 due to widespread reports of abuse. The video begins with text explaining that in May 2008, two students entered Penhurst and mysteriously disappeared. The subsequent scenes depict a collection of found footage, seemingly recorded with a camcorder. The footage shows the exploration of Penhurst by the two students, one identified as Jessica, while the person behind the camera remains anonymous. Throughout the video, the two engage in lighthearted activities inside the abandoned hospital. They're seen playfully riding wheelchairs and trying out old, dilapidated typewriters. However, the chilling reality sets in when the video abruptly ends. At this point, the story takes a disturbing turn. Allegedly, the young man and woman seen in the videos have not been seen since their entry into the dilapidated building where the footage was discovered.
A man is shopping in a supermarket when something truly bizarre happens. He puts down his basket and starts searching for his wallet. Then, as if he's in a superhero movie where only the character can see an invisible monster, he begins to look upwards. Clearly panicked, his eyes follow something above his head. Then he suddenly dives down, as though a bird is swooping down at him, and he's so startled that he falls to the ground, shielding his head, possibly in fear. If you were in his shoes, wouldn't you be frightened too? The internet has come up with various theories about what might have happened here. Some think it wasn't a bird, but something supernatural, while others suggest it could be the Grim Reaper himself. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. A woman went to the beach with her family to escape their busy lives. The rain fell gently, creating a serene yet somewhat eerie atmosphere. As she walked along the shoreline and looked toward the horizon, she saw a giant human-like figure walking in the distance on the water. Each step created ripples, as if defying the laws of nature. The silhouette stood out sharply against the gray sea, and seemed to walk with an odd grace over the water. With her heart pounding, she quickly grabbed her phone to capture this moment. Her family watched in astonishment, just as confused as she was, as they tried to understand what they were looking at. Later, she posted the video to TikTok, and the comments poured in. Many viewers were skeptical, suggesting it could simply be a buoy or perhaps a distant lighthouse. But she was strongly convinced that it must have been a person. A Mongolian Oirat tribe that formed and maintained the Dzungar Khanate in the 17th and 18th centuries historically was one of the major tribes of the Four Oirat Confederation. The term Dzungar is derived from the Mongolian words Dzungar, meaning left hand, referring to their position as the left flank of the Mongolian army. The Dzungar Khanate was a confederation of several Tibetan Buddhist Oirat Mongol tribes that emerged in the early 17th century. They established a capital and built monasteries throughout their territory. The Dzungars practiced Buddhism and encouraged their people to settle, as well as engage in agriculture and participate in small-scale productions. In the mid-18th century, the Qing dynasty of China launched a campaign to conquer the Dzungar Khanate. King Emperor Qinglong ordered the genocide of the Dzungars as retaliation for the rebellion against Qing rule. The genocide took place between 1755 and 1758, resulting in the mass extermination of the Dzungar people. Would you have wanted to be part of any of these tribes? Let me know in the comments. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more videos we've made, click one on the screen or take a look at the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.